So here is the finished drawing, and you can probably tell right away it looks a little funky because it is done in a different dimension style, a really different dimension style. So let's go look at that dimension styles real quick. So I'm going to click on the annotation here. It's ISO 25, so that is AutoCAD's default dimension style for metric drawings. And I'm going to hit modify here. So I changed one thing already, and I know it ain't right, but I like to see the precision, you know. So I had the precision that was there displayed. I unchecked the trailing suppression here, so that was suppressed. The other thing I did, just one other thing, is I went to fit, and I bumped up the scale to 1.5. That just makes everything bigger. So the default is 1, and if I have it at 1, I'll show you what it looks like. All the dimensions are just too small. They're just, I mean, if you zoom in, they're fine. If you zoom way in, but what you're seeing right now is basically the size of a printed sheet of paper, and they're just too small. So I went to, the modify here, and I just went to the fit, overall fit, and here it is, scale for dimension features. So this is just the overall scale. Right there, use overall scale. And whatever you put in here, it just changes everything. It changes the arrowheads, it changes text size, it changes the extension lines past the arrowheads, it changes the distance between the extension lines and the objects. It's a true overall scale. So I know I haven't shown you that before, I haven't needed to, but in this drawing, definitely useful. So that really improves the readability, legibility of these dimensions. So do that. These things, they look crazy. And there's just very little we can do with this. So this is how they're going to come out, all these lines with no elbow on them at all, with no landing. It's a straight line with a dimension on it. And that's just how it's going to be. So there it is. Love it or leave it, right? Let's start at the top here. And as we have done in the past, you are going to need to create center lines for these holes. The bottom one has this arc, so the center lines extend all the way beyond its edges. And the distance I am extending it beyond is 6 millimeters, which is basically 1/4 of an inch. And then the distance between the object and the dimension line is 12 millimeters. So these construction lines right here that I'm showing you, the first one is offset 6, and the next one is another 6 for a total of 12. And that is how I created my 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch spacing. So again, the center lines are going to go to that 1/4 inch mark and beyond. When you're doing these holes, just offset them, the 6, enter, 6, enter, and there it is. Just go to the edges of that, right? And then you can delete the circle afterward, and that will give you your center line spacing for these holes. You may be wondering about these two lines right here, and they are showing the bend on the front side, the bend on the back side. The bend on the back side, there's just no question about. It's definitely a corner, and I'll zoom in on that for you. It's definitely a sharp corner. There it is. That's an edge. It's got to be shown. No doubt about it. What is not clear is up here, because this is an arc. It's a small arc. It was a 3 millimeter arc, but nonetheless, it's an arc. And technically, when we have an arc, you wouldn't show a line. Just to be really clear here, let me just do a quick doodle for you. If I had an object like this, in the top view, right, you are absolutely going to see this line. No doubt about it. There it is, right? But if you put a big radius in here, like this, nice fat radius, that line would not be there. We would not do that. And that probably seems pretty obvious to you because clearly there is no edge. It just smooths from one surface to another and there is no edge, and that would be the top view. You would show on the back side the edge, right? You would see this one coming up here from there to there. But on the front, on the top view, sorry, you would not see anything here. And that is what we got going on here. That is the exact scenario that we have here. This arc, this tiny arc is not a giant fillet. It's not, you know, it's not, let's put one in there that's really big. It's not like this, nice big smoothing 30mm arc, but there is an arc there. And so technically, you wouldn't put this line in here showing that intersection, that corner, because there is no intersection. It is a blending of one surface into another. However, I did put it in there, and the reason I put it in there is one, because it's so small, and two, the more important reason, in the drawing that we were given, that intersection, that apparent intersection, it's not a true intersection, but that apparent intersection is dimension 2, and it's 26mm from there to this hole. That's right off the drawing we were given, and that's kind of a critical dimension because it sets the spacing for everything else. You know, without that, we got none of this stuff. We basically don't know how long this thing is without that dimension. So it was necessary. Just to make that clear, I came to that realization when I was doing the dimensions that I was going to have to put that in there because without it, I was stuck. All right, so that's why that line is there. Both of those lines are there. And both of them, because I put them on the one view, I had to put them on the other view. So both of them are also here on the auxiliary view. You can see them both projecting out. There's the bottom corner, and we are looking on the bottom view on this side. So it is shown with a object line, and the one on the top, the apparent intersection on top, is shown with a dashed line, a hidden line. Okay, so hopefully that that works for you. Do this dimension right here that's addressing these holes, remember you got to put in a diameter value. It will not do diameter. So when you go to do that, it's going to look like this, right? And you're going to have to type M, enter, and change it. You're going to have to add the 3x, and you're going to have to retype out diameter symbol and 16, okay? Because none of this is right. When you do the angled surface here, very simple. Just click angular and then click these two lines. There they are right there. You may be unhappy with that. You might be thinking to yourself, I really want the 30-degree line. Well, if you want the 30-degree line, click these two lines right here and just pull it into there like this. And that will allow you to do that. The truth is this style is frowned upon because we do not like arrows touching object lines if at all possible. We try to reduce that. There are situations where that's not, you know, there's no way around it. But in this situation, there was an easy way around it, this 150. But the truth is, showing the 30 degrees like this is not crazy. You could also do it like this, which is one totally acceptable. So now you have an extension line coming out the bottom, and you have an extension line coming off the angled edge, and you do that like that, and that's totally acceptable. The one downside though is, of course, you have this rather long extension line, right? This really long yellow extension line. But anyway, the best way to do it is what we've got right here, showing this 150, which is basically the same thing. It's just measuring the angle from the other side. This should all be pretty self-explanatory here. These are just the default radius dimensions. Again, we have the 37 on this guy because we changed it from 38 to 37. And we have this note here indicating that the default radius is 3 millimeters. Of course, don't forget your border in title block. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, pretty much it. Okay, guys, I'm going to zoom out here for the final view. There it is. And that will be all there is to it.